Good morning everyone, kapag ko Pilipino, magbasa na tayo nating sariling history book, History of the Filipino People by Agoncillo and Guerrero. Today is April 2023, History of the Filipino People, Part 6, The Third Republic, Topic number 30, Under Martial Law. Nandito tayo sa paragraph, The New Constitution. Basa. The new constitution. When martial law was declared, the Constitutional Convention, which had been meeting since the first week of June 1971 in order to frame a new constitution to replace that of 1935, met on September 25, 1972 and voted unanimously to continue deliberations on vital issues. A motion was presented in the convention to adjourn the plenary meeting until the lifting of martial law. The proposal was defeated. Consequently, the convention continued its sessions. When the new charter was finished, President Marcos referred it to the citizens' assemblies numbering 26,000 all over the country. The Kapulungan or General Assembly of All Citizens Assembly met from January 10 to 15, 1973 to consider the provisions of the new charter. 3 questions were submitted to the Kapulungan, namely, number 1, do you approve of the Citizens' Assembly as a way of popular government to decide issues affecting issues affecting our people? Number 2, do you approve of the new constitution? And number 3, do you want a plebiscite to be called to ratify the new constitution? The first 2 questions were overwhelmingly approved, while the third was overwhelmingly disapproved. In view of the results of the referendum, President Marcos, dramatizing the occasion, signed 3 resolutions before the Kapulungan. Number 1, Proclamation number 1102, which announced the ratification by the Filipino people of the 1973 Constitution as of noon of January 17, 1973. Number 2, Proclamation number 1103, which declared the interim National Assembly provided for in Article 17 of the new Constitution not convened, and number 3, Proclamation of number 1104, which declared the Constitution of martial law. The taking into effect of the new constitution resulted in number 1, the official abolition of the legislative body, number 2, the exercise by President Marcos of the powers of the President and of the Prime Minister, number 3, the change of the form of government from presidential to parliamentary, and number 4, the exercise by the President of the power when to call the interim assembly. Distribution of wealth. The obvious disparity in the distribution of wealth, in which the wealthy became wealthier and the poor poorer, was one of the causes of discontent among the poor. Social stability was thus threatened, and what Marxists call revolutionary situation seemed to prevail in a society that was largely feudal. In order to diffuse the growing discontent, which might erupt into an armed uprising or revolution, President Marcos issued an order urging business corporations and companies to open their doors to the public, which is to say, ownership of the corporations and companies should not be limited to the family circle and to a narrow circle of friends, but should be dispersed to those who are willing to become stockholders of such business firms. Meralco, which changed ownership, is now owned not by a few but by all Meralco customers. Some private companies and corporations followed suit and sold their stocks to the public. The effect is that wealth is to a degree being filtered to the traditional have-nots, mostly lower middle class. With regard to lands beyond 7 hectares owned by a person, a decree provides for the distribution of lands above 7 hectares to land lease tenants, and those who own 7 or less are required to sell their lands personally Otherwise, even their 7-hectare lands will be divided among the tenants upon just payment to the owners. The purpose behind this decree is to distribute lands as equitably as possible and to enlarge the middle class with the addition of the former tenants who, by dint of hard labor and patience, have improved their economic life. Peace and order. The disorders prevalent during pre-martial law period. Ulitin ko ha. Peace and order. Disorders prevalent during pre-martial law period were conspicuously absent after the declaration of martial law. Curfew, as noted, was enforced strictly so that the usual nocturnal activities of lawless elements were minimized. The streets are now deserted and nightclubs everywhere turn out their customers even before the approach of the curfew hour. In the provinces, similar peace and order condition is noted, although in some distant areas, sporadic fighting between the New People's Army and the government forces are known to have erupted. The greatest threat to peace and order comes not from the NPA's activities, which are not massive in nature, but from the so-called Moro National Liberation Front (MNLF), of which a former political science student of the University of the Philippines is the alleged leader. Because of the casualties on both the government side and the Muslim secessionists, President Marcos initiated a truce movement in February 1975 by appealing to the members of the ASEAN and to the Muslim countries to help force a ceasefire in the affected areas of Mindanao and Sulu. He offered amnesty to all those connected with the secessionist movement and promised to bring the Muslims to the level similar to the areas in Luzon. For this purpose, the President set aside plenty of money. 5 days later in Baguio, President Marcos said that the secessionist movement was being abetted and sustained by outside support. During the truce period, however, the MNLF attacked the Philippine Constabulary forces in Mindanao, resulting in heavy casualties, displaying coolness and restraint. President Marcos continued to seek ways and means of having fruitful dialogue with the Muslim secessionists. He poured millions upon millions of pesos into the Muslim area to show his good intentions as far as the development of the Muslim areas was concerned. At the same time, he invited Muslim countries to investigate the condition of the Filipino Muslims in order to determine for themselves what his government was and is still doing to uplift the condition of the Muslim masses. President Marcos' drive to win over the descendants, Christians and non-Christians, won a significant victory when the Partido Komunista ng Pilipinas, PKP, the Moscow-oriented communist group, volunteered to cooperate with the President in a memorandum of cooperation dated October 1, 1974 and signed by Felicissimo Macapagal, Secretary General of the PKP. The PKP said that, on the basis of your commitment to the interest of the Filipino working people, we Filipino communists are ready to carry forward the best elements of the new society from principles to deeds. Thereupon, President Marcos granted the PKP members safe conduct passes and directed that all assistance, including help by civic action units, be given immediately to members of the PKP returning to the fold. Thus ended the dissidence of the PKP, which was founded in 1930 by the late Crisanto Evangelista. The campaign to have peace and order prevailed throughout the country in order to create a favorable climate for economic and social development led not only to the voluntary promise of cooperation on the part of the PKP but the capture of the commander Dante Bernabe Boscaino, head of the NPA. Bernabe Boscaino pala yung Ulitin ko lang guys ha. But to the capture of Commander Dante Bernabe Buscaino, head of the NPA, the arm of the Peking-oriented seasoned group of communists, and of Lieutenant Victor Corpus. Mga famous nga ito guys eh. Si Lieutenant Victor Corpus, diba ano to? Sundalo to. Sundalo to sa government, diba? Alitin ko lang. And Communist and Lieutenant Victor Corpus, so defected from the Philippine Army to the NPA years before. Oh, sabi na eh. Dante was captured early in the morning of August 26, 1976 at the city of Mexico, Pampanga. Corpus, on the other hand, was captured as early as July, but the news of his capture was withheld for security reasons. Oh. With the capture of Dante and Corpus, the military arm of the Communist Party of the Philippines Peking-oriented was considerably weakened. So hanggang dyan na lang guys, bukas na itong infrastructure. 09 April 2023. Bye everyone, God bless.